teams are so good, and these comps are built so straightforward that they can run it through. Let's see about the changes, though, here.
And we see the Gragas being removed by BLG. Adaptation from game 1. They stay with the Kasante and the Ari bans. Lucian, Vi, and Gwen were JDG bans in game 1. On red side, obviously, you can switch things up a little bit, but right now, there's so many power picks. Maybe this is an Annie ban. Could try and get rid of the Nautilus, the Jinx as well. We've seen be very strong. So JDG taking their time in deciding exactly where they want to put the pressure, and it's in the top lane as Cannon is removed.
Okay, that respect shown towards Bin. What will that first pick be?
Jinx is up.
Annie is
all
up.
I'm saying. Jinx, I mean, Maokai, Annie, Wukong, Jinx, everything.
There's so much that we'd usually count as a tier 1 pick, and Jinx it is, has been winning the battle of the
I agree with this pick. Remember,
Okay.
in game number 1, I was so set. I was so set on BLG. They had this strategy versus both LCK teams. They only played either Zeri or Jinx. They threw away the Aphelios, and then game 1 here versus JDG, they brought it back.
But JDG get Annie Wukong. This was the combo that created devastation to T1. Kanavi's Wukong. He has like an 80% win rate over 26 games this year. The only good news is that in his 5 losses, 2 of them were to BLG.
Yeah, Knight as well, 75% win rate on his Annie out of 8 games. So very, very powerful first rotation here for JDG.
Ooh, so my question is gonna be, because one thing that we have seen as a very good counter engage had been Braum, but it's so early in the draft, and Rakan and Lulu are both up here, so they have to go for that.
It is interesting to see BLG prioritize the Rakan over the Lulu. Obviously, it does give you good engage, gives you good disengage as well, but you don't have as many steroids for your AD carry as something like a Lulu would give you. However, if JDG try and burst the Lulu, it's a little bit easier to catch her out than it is to catch out a Rakan.
Rakan definitely one of the slipperiest supports in the game.
Wow, they blinded the Gwen.
I mean, as 369. Yeah, Ben is throwing it down. He's like, fine. You know, what are you gonna counter me with?
I feel like 369 will have something, Kobe.
Sion's still an option, something we've seen play very well over the last few days here at MSI, but JDG will likely want to go for their AD carry here to make sure that pool isn't pinched too much, and Zeri, the probable option for them.
Oh.
Instead. Okay.
The hover. Okay, so what JDG is saying is that, well, you know what? We actually have AD carry options, because what you want to do right now is ban away top laners.
Yeah.
You want to ban away things like the Jax, you want to ban away things that do well into my Gwen, so you're actually going to leave all my AD carries up. I'm going to get Aphelios, or I'm going to get Zeri. Both should be fine.
Or we're going to get the Jax in the top lane, depending on how the bans go out.
I think BLG should ban bottom lane. Bottom lane is the way you win the game here.
What do you think? Zeri, Aphelios probably is the bans if you're trying to pinch that pool a little bit. JDG looking towards the jungle as they'll remove the Kha'Zix. Of course, Shun, very famous for his Kindred and his Nidalee. Nidalee didn't work out too well for them the last time they played it against JDG, but you don't always have to go to the meta if you're BLG. They brought out some different things, and there we are. Bot lane bans for BLG. They'll take away the Aphelios.
Yeah, I just think it's too much of a waste to try and ban top lane versus 369 when he's so good to just play team fights and, like, you know, give up side there. He creates so much space in them, even when he's on a losing matchup. Put him on a tank, create that structure. And JDG, as you mentioned, Vedius, the reason this Annie plus Wukong is so highly prized, the snap engage. It's just instant.
Kanavi and Knight are just so proficient at the combo as well. Let's see how it's rounded out. I imagine the Zeri, there it is. So BLG are attacking that bot lane. How will JDG pivot now? Because really the only hub... No!
No, Benny, no.
I mean, the crowd's getting excited, Benny. We've got to pander to the crowd. Is it Ruler's Vein? Is this what we're going to get?
No, it's going to be like a Zaya or something, Benny. You got way too excited.
I got to pander to the crowd, man. You know, it will be the Zaya. Of course, Ruler, he does have a skin. The Zaya Lulu is not a bot lane combo that you're used to seeing. But one of the beauties of playing the Zaya here is that Lulu can actually support the Wukong a little bit more in the team fights, often being responsible for keeping your AD carry alive because of that self-peel that you have on the Zaya. While your scaling isn't quite the same that you have on a Jinx, it still makes a lot of sense when it comes to these team fights.
And it's AoE damage, you know. The Vayne is so many style points. But Zaya Blade Caller just synergizes so insanely well with an Annie Wukong engage, and even if you use Lulu Ultimate for the knockup as well.
Maokai logged in for BLG. Shun will take that into the jungle. Jace the likely option here. We talked a little bit about either the Jace or the Tristana alongside the Maokai to make sure you split that damage, and especially with an AP top laner, you need to make sure you have a bit of physical damage on the top side of the map. Sion here for JDG, very likely locked in for 369.
All right, so no real surprises thrown out in game number 2. So the surprises have to come from the in-game play.
I will say that looking at these drafts, I just prefer what I'm seeing from JDG right now. In terms of when we think about how the game is currently played, which is things like bot lane dives, whether it be playing around dragons, playing for heralds, it's just that JDG should spike harder earlier, and like their ability to execute should be easy, especially when you look at BLG. They kind of want to play more towards side lanes, you know, play more of the 1-3-1, but then they drafted this Maokai that also offers this team fight engage. They have a little bit of poke, they also have a bit of frontline. Like, their comp kind of wants to do a lot of different things that I think just makes it harder to execute as a JDG.
I completely agree, and especially since you've got Sion on red side for JDG, we will see, you know, looks for the level 1, and then how do you punish the side lane? You have snap engages. Vedius, guess what? We've got the best snap engage in the game. Annie Flash. We'll see if Knight can get those for JDG.
And we'll see if BLG can get out to an early lead. When they played against T1, it was very much, and even against Gen G, very much around playing around bot side. We saw it a little bit from Shun in game 1, but they weren't able to shut down Ruler, and Knight was able to gain advantages on the other side of the map. For JDG, it is match point if they win this, one game away from hoisting the MSI trophy for the first time in any of the players' history, in the organization's history, and what a performance it would be for them. Over the last few years, they have leveled up as an organization. The introduction of Knight, the introduction of 369, and now the introduction of Ruler as well, putting them in a position to challenge the best in the world.
All right, so we just have the line of scrimmage watching entrances here. No level 1 shenanigans, although there are sweepers on both supports.
Nothing too crazy happening in the start. The cheers from the fans coming out. WE sign coming out from On. Of course, Elk and Missing, former teammates on that said WE. Inspirational story coming out from Missing, encouraging Elk to continue with his pro career. Many a credit Missing for the reason why Elk is here today, the fact that he's persevered.
And we see JDG starting to set up for this level 1 strat that has been rife throughout the tournament. Yagao and On will be able to spot it. On, of course, very safe on the Rakan, can start to step away, can jump away. How will BLG counter this?
Well, Knight just got some first strike money off Yagao while the rest of the team goes for that Sion level 1 invade. On and Elk poking around on bottom side. This has been the agreed upon answer now, is that your jungler, when you're facing the level 1 Sion invade, starts on Wolves, gets his level 2 off of Wolves, and we'll see if Shun heads down here to try and support once he gets level 2 on Maokai.
So the problem that BLG have is look at Ruler, already gone to bot lane. He's gonna get an advantage.
It's just gonna be a smite fight.
Shun has the
Red
smite
buff down
ready.
to 1,400, 3v3 around this red buff. On stepping in to try and get vision. Decimating Smash dodge with a twisted advance, but I think it was Kanavi who got it. In fact, it was 369 who steals away the red, and then first blood to Kanavi.
Well, we got the Sion level 1 death, but it wasn't even a tower dive. And the red buff in the end is traded over because Elk takes down 369 after he stole it. So now you've got a Jinx coming to lane for the minion wave with the red buff.
So there is good news for both sides. The good news for BLG is that Elk secured first, well, not first blood, but he's the one that's got himself the kill. So whatever he ended up losing in the bot lane, he's going to make up for in terms of gold. He will be behind in experience. You can see that Ruler getting very close to level 3 already, and he's going to take advantage of that as much as possible, denying the level 2. The good news for JDG is that they made Shun's pathing very awkward. They delayed his pathing pretty significantly, and Kanavi, who has soloed many an 80 carry on this champion,
flash.
is very far ahead.
This is still only level 1 here. Elk can look at the red buff slow. Shun can go in, ghost away from Ruler, flash forward, not in range for the twisted advance, but now missing. He's alcove gaming, but he doesn't want to be. The twisted advance for the lockup, the knockback, and that is another kill over to BLG. Elk stampeding over them as now Kanavi tries to join the fray. Shun trying to get away, but he's only level 2, and Ruler will take him out. Kanavi chasing onto On, but in the end, it's a 1-for-1 in the bottom lane.
Oh, it's a bot lane party, all right. And JDG have the experience advantage in 2 areas. jungle and AD carry. Early on in the games, levels mean so much more than gold. And they're able to leverage it. They kite him through the alcove. You think at first, missing, what are you doing? You're dead, just don't flash, resign yourself to death. But a little bit of time bot even just allows Kanavi to get down there for the counter kill for JDG, and then Ruler again gets to push in.
Exactly that, Kobe. The play here is good from BLG. They're trying to punish the awkward wave state for Ruler, who's trying to get this underneath the tower. He does pop the ghost. The flash means that he can't quite get in range, so they say, you know what, let's focus the level 1 support instead. Forces the flash out, forces the W from Jun on him as well, which means a lot of cooldowns invested onto the support. The root comes through from Ruler. He's not hesitating to get into the thick of things. And remember, Shun only level 2 means that the moment that Kanavi arrives, he's either forcing them back or he's getting a kill. And at the end of the day, it works out in favor of JDG.
Yep, good wards there from JDG in the side lane brush and behind the alcove as well to ensure that they don't lose any DPS in the fight. Bin, meanwhile, in his Gwen matchup on top side, again, this is the sacrifice that BLG made to go to have him on his Gwen in a very, very favorable matchup.
And for Bin, a very favorable champion as well. 12-2 internationally on the Gwen. 3 games at last year's MSI finals that took him to the championship alongside RNG. And here he's getting the push onto 369 again.
I love that he does stay to his style, but we have seen 369 be so incredibly good. Even if he's going to level 1 sacrifice his top lane to be on the bottom side of the map with the rest of the team, he still performs so well in these team fights. And often it's because he doesn't actually tank the damage, even though he is a tank. He uses the threat of his CC to zone off the damage dealers of the enemy team. So he doesn't actually have to soak it at all and just creates so much space.
We've also, though, seen Bin 1v9 on this champion. We saw it throughout this tournament. And I'm excited to see if he can do it again. The responsibility will fall on his shoulders. Where the side lanes should be very important for BLG, but right now we see a lot of the gold invested into Elk. Part of it not through his own volition, just circumstances.
I'm pretty sure he'll be happy with it, though.
Yeah, he's not too upset about that. Does have a bit of a gold bounty, but I'm taking a quick look at the gold. He does have a 200 gold, well, about 150 gold lead over Ruler right now, and even if he is behind in XP. So overall, things dead even in this early game. First dragon on the board available. Let's see if JDG will get out and secure this one for free. I'm expecting that BLG will try to protect.
They do like fighting over objectives, don't they, Veddy? BLG stepping forward. Tibbers used in the mid lane. We see this quite commonly with the Annie mid. You just get so much pressure, and it's so hard for Yagao to work his way through that health pass. Shun coming down from the top side of this, looking for the dragon. But in the end, BLG don't take the fight. Instead, just let Elk push in that bot lane wave.
Surprised that Shun actually tried to enter the river from the top side, because that is where Yagao got chunked out. Really nice trade from Knight, but unlikely to secure a kill. It does mean that he can't really get in range of the dragon, given that Knight actually had that pressure in the mid lane, meaning he could rotate faster, and then JDG are able to secure it uncontested. Elk is able to get a pretty safe push into the bot side of the map. Ruler and Missing had to go the long way around, but overall, another advantage gain for JDG.
Yeah, JDG really nicely timed there. They had the bottom wave shove, so it took Elk a long time to be able to push it back out. They didn't drop any minions while they're helping with that dragon. They get back for it, and meanwhile, Knight is just Annie-gaming in mid lane, dropping tippers on him, full combo, first strike. Thank you very much. Half your health bar is gone. You can't help your team.
And one of the things for JDG is they've triaged the bottom lane. You know, Elk getting 2 kills, you want to make sure he's not going to keep snowballing away. But there's quite a bit of bleeding in the top lane. Bin is so far ahead, 800 gold in the lead, now has 2 plates. And I wonder if Kanavi will start to put a little bit more attention up here just to try and shut down Bin from snowballing too far away.
I mean, it's a question of how concerned they will be with him in the team fights. I
True.
think that Gwen is a champion that really thrives in environments where there's a lot of range, specifically because she can pop down the mist, and then she can kind of have that isolated 1v1. There's a bit of trading happens in the bot lane. But you got to remember, JDG's comp, pretty short range overall. Any Wukong, they kind of want to be in your face when dropping that combo. Perhaps against the feathers, champions like Gwen can be very effective. But yeah, it depends about how much of a concern they actually find this Gwen as a get later into.
And I would say, with Flash available and Wukong just getting level 6 now, his eyes get real big looking towards this mid lane here with the Annie stun, with the Tibbers coming back off cooldown, with bottom lane also pushing in. There's a lot of options over there.
Remember that there is no cleanse anywhere on the side of BLG. A stun from Knight means that it is a quick, well,
Follow-up.
follow-up is the word, yeah, from Kanavi. Another plate should be secured there. Oh, actually just went over to Missing.
Support's favorite
Hey, man.
moment right there. It's
You
like,
got to,
I ordered it, it's mine. I deserve the 175 extra gold. Knight knocked away. The tip is coming down as Kanavi can jump across the wall. Has that Cyclone, holds it. Yagao still had the flash, and so they didn't want to go any further. And obviously, Kanavi can keep that Cyclone for what could be a Rift Herald fight now. Jun secures it. As you say, good ultimate from him to make sure that Kanavi couldn't get any closer. Kanavi does still have the flash, but in the end, the BLG jungler will just walk away.
I was just about to comment on how JDG should look to do the same thing that they did for Drake, right? Just drop the anti-combo initially, guarantee that mid-prio, force Yagao back, and then make your way into the river. But Shun, ahead of the play, was able to secure the Herald, even used his ultimate to secure the objective. And BLG, at the very least, lost early Dragon, but will exchange it for the Herald.
Yeah, because Bin had so much control on top side with his Gwen matchup, with the way that JDG sacrificed Sion level 1 as well. Off of top lane, Shun, he got the Scuttle Crab for his escape as well, and he was able to get something back here for BLG. So the hope for BLG, they do have the gold lead now, they do have the Rift Herald in hand, and they have been scaling away on the top side of the map. We will see 1 minute, 40 seconds towards the next Dragon.
Both the junglers on the bottom side of the map as well. Perhaps we'll see this Herald invested into Elk. He is 2 kills to the good, has a bounty on his head as well as he forces Ruler away. Kanavi coming down here as On and Missing start to trade. Level 6 still about half a level of experience away for both the supports, so not the most powerful engage you can find from the Rakan, and not the most powerful disengage you can find from Missing. On now, goes for the control ward. Shun steps forward, seen by the ward, and immediately Missing and Ruler back away.
So a very slow early game. I'm kind of surprised, gentlemen.
Yep.
The last time we saw JDG and BLG fight at MSI, it was a bloodbath. It was non-stop action, specifically around these neutral objectives, but both taking their time. Obviously a lot of weight on their shoulders here at the grand final. An LPL team will be a victor. 5 of the 8 MSI champions will rest with the LPL. The question is, which team will it be? Right now, JDG looking like the heavy favorites, but they do find themselves at a bit of a deficit here in the other game of Game 2.
It's kind of beautiful, the tender care and love that these junglers are showing to their bottom lanes. Coming through, sweeping out the wards, hovering here for recalls, hovering for waves being shoved in.
That's a lovely way of expressing it, rather than these babies need to be taken care of.
I think that junglers are misunderstood, okay?
Oh, really?
We are really tender,
passionate kind,
loving, caring individuals. Truly with the best intentions in our hearts at all
I've played
times.
with enough Nunus to know that's not always true. But we do see Jun pathing up towards the top side. I wondered if he'd use the Rift Herald up there. He does still have about a third of the timer on it, so he could decide just to invest it all into Bin, who has already completed his Rift Maker, but I'm sure Bin will be happy keeping that lane going for as long as possible. Makes it a bit easier for him, and he's less susceptible to a gank as On starts to flank. Hits the level 6 off the minion. Kanavi coming up here, and now Bin, he started proxying, and he's gonna find himself in the face of 3. Bin puts the needlework down, trying to trade in. Kanavi going back in with a Cyclone, chases him down. The knock-up with a decimating smash for the healing from the needlework as Bin almost snips through Kanavi.
Close, but he can't cut him down. The idea for the whole thing is to get this dragon, though. So Bin is proxying, as you're saying, on the spawn of the dragon, so that in worst case scenario, his team is still able to have numbers down here and hopefully get the dragon. They actually don't have any DPS there. Just a Maokai trying to work away on an Ocean Drake. They might want to call over at least On or something to make sure that they can finish it off. But in the best case scenario, they get the dragon and Bin gets a counter kill there. So that reasoning, I think, is still quite decent from BLG. It does end up not going in their favor, though, and you just lost out quite a lot because Sion is able to take a turret play with the Demolish as well.
Kanavi was spotted on vision around his Razor Beaks. He's now recalling, but that gives BLG the opportunity to put this Rift Herald down and invest the gold into Elk. It's only 88, so not as sizable a sum as perhaps he would have liked, but still keeps him basically even with the Ruler in that bottom lane.
That it does. Plates going across the board, but a bit of action at the very least. Bin once again showcasing his prowess on the champion. He should be able to secure a plate for himself here in the top lane, which should once again equalize the gold as we've been seeing. Herald spawns in about a minute and a half. I expect this to be the next neutral that we see contested. The Jinx. Oh, I thought that Elk would try and get base there, but it's a little early. Ruler should push in this wave, look for a recall, or maybe he wants a plate for himself. All right, so right now, typically you'd expect to see these bot laners look for an early recall, at the very least those support, so they can already start moving towards the top side, start clearing out that vision. When we do highlight the minimap, you'll notice that right now the vision is mainly in control of BLG with these deep pink cords. This means that gaining access to the river, especially with the push that they have in mid, is that much easier. And again, you expect this to be the next neutral objective that both these teams fight for.
For the moment, both the teams just happy to farm up towards those first mythics. We see Riftmaker on bin, Shun goes Demonic, something we have been seeing a little bit more from the Maokais recently. There was a brief window where it was Radiant Virtue first, you just went full tank, and Yagao is building his way up to that Eclipse.
And I'm actually still a way bigger fan of the full tank Maokai with the nerfs that came through to the damage of the AP build. Plus, you already have been your AP threat on your team. So we'll see if it pays off, though. The saplings will be even more annoying. Knight now 3 members coming
Where
from
are you
behind.
going to go, Knight? Stopwatch first, does still have the flash. The knock-up, he flashes it, but Shun chases him with the twisted advance, and even Tibbers can't help Knight survive. Yagao takes him, and BLG secure the kill in the bottom lane.
Beautiful move from BLG to take advantage of that opening in the rotation. They get 3 members down behind the turret. Nothing Knight can do. Maokai ultimate comes through. They do leave a power deficit in mid lane, allowing JDG to push in on this turret, but Elk is able to quickly clear out that wave.
Also a power deficit around the Herald, because that's why JDG moved their bot lane to mid lane, was to try and protect this. BLG accept that they're not going to be able to get the second Herald of the game. They were happy enough with the first, but they should be able to secure the first turret of this matchup.
And it might be overlooked, but blowing the stopwatch is really big for these critical mid-game team fights as well for the Annies. So another small little advantage for BLG, although you rightly point out, it is going to be that consolation prize top side. Second Rift Herald, incredibly decreased value, but still very good at knocking down the remnants of these turrets. As you can see on screen, thank you very much, observers.
Yeah.
That one would get one shot.
Props to JDG though, having a much better early game than last game.
BLG.
BLG, yeah, of course.
As they look for the engage, Meshling has to support the Wild Growth on himself. 369 running in as well, and Shun already falls. Bet he wishes he was tankier now. As BLG have to disengage. It looked like they just thought they could catch Missing, but didn't have the damage to work through him.
A bit of an overeager play there from Shun. I felt like that he went in a little too early, but he saw his opportunity, and the rest of BLG really couldn't follow up. It means that he does end up losing his life. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, not going to result in a huge amount for JDG, other than a kill. But yeah, a bit of a blunder there. Of course, Shun losing his flash could prove vital as we get closer to the next dragon.
Yeah, got to be careful about handing over kills to this team that has such an explosive wombo combo available to them with all of the AoE that they do have. Meanwhile, as you said, Medic, yeah, a lot squishier there on the Maokai. You have to play more careful.
Can't just go in like that, and of course, we talked about squishiness. Well, Elk is pretty squishy, Yagao is pretty squishy. If Kanavi can get onto them, he already has 1.5 items complete. When that Black Cleaver is there, we have seen our fair share of Wukongs just 1v1 the enemy AD carry in fights, and it can become very tricky for Elk, but Yagao starts to assert a little bit of dominance there as he forces Kanavi away from his Grom.
Nice trade from Yagao. Will push in this bot wave, sets them up nicely for this. Can't interrupt the base there.
Yeah, Rakan had his passive shield.
That he did. But they right now are in a pretty good position. Been drawing a lot of pressure top side. They have the wave pushed in bot. They don't have control over mid just yet as Ruler makes his way to the top lane.
369 going to charge in. Bin trying to get away from this one. No Ghost on him. Dashes away from the decimating smash, and he turns it back onto Ruler. But Ruler still has the ult, doesn't even need it. In the end, 369 will get paid.
Ruler's actually stopping on Krugs. I thought he would run down to the Dragon because it's the same play from BLG. They have been split push super deep when the Dragon spawns so that they can take it up, but they're not even going to rush down to the Dragon. They're just going to give it over to BLG. It's fine. We'll take another kill on Bin in exchange for your Dragon because they can also shove the top side of the map. 369 now on the side. Keeps getting so much every time Bin sacrifices himself, and we have an ult.
Onto Missing. Flash heal still available for the Lulu, and in the end, it's all for naught in the mid lane as Missing's just able to walk out of vision. Kanavi stealing away the blue buff. Ruler and Missing just protecting their jungler by stepping a little bit further forward. On an Elk now starting to collapse, and no flash, but does have the ultimate. They're trying to defend this top tier 1, and in the end, Kanavi and 369 will just retreat to the safety of their own jungle.
Ultimately, BLG are playing around their side lanes very well. They are down in kills, of course, but in terms of pressure,
on with a good knock up there. Can dash to Shun as well.
The thing is, we're going to have a big confrontation in mid as Yagao finds Knight.
Wins. Yagao used to win when they were playing in the PC bunk together, and he already takes half of Knight's health, and Knight really can't do much. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes out from Elk, and BLG continue to find picks.
All right, it's about how much can they get. BLG already had the split push advantage. You see Yagao immediately after the kill onto Annie. He goes bottom side. They push that one in. Everybody else pressuring around mid. But the defense is here for JDG.
I mean, again, BLG's side laners are just continuing to get stronger while Elk himself receives a lot of the kills and gold. The Herald about to wear off. Will end up dropping in mid lane. I really don't think JDG is going to get much value off of this.
And BLG will get some, as they can just take it as it tries to walk forward. JDG will escort it, but it's so far back right now. They clear the way pretty quickly.
Escort mission!
Gets the knock up as well. It's down to 5,000. You can see Yagao trying to join up with his team. But the red tail will fall before it even gets a charge off. You said the second one wasn't as valuable as the first. I think we see why there, Kobe.
Yeah, escort mission failed.
They're the worst in this game, especially when your running speed is just quicker than their walking speed, but your walking speed is slower than their speed, as we see Elk trying to look for Ruler! You can jump over a rocket, it seems. I've seen that happen in Valorant before.
Ruler's running speed was pretty high there. He had to run away from the damage from Elk. The chip damage is good, though. Unfortunately for BLG, they don't have a wave to play on, but this is the objective that they want to secure. We've seen them a few times now push in those sides, try to collapse in mid, but Ruler's done a great job of just continuously thinning out this wave. Could this be the window, though, that BLG have been looking for to finally unlock the map?
And they send Bin to go down, find 369 for a 1v1 in the river. He gets 369's flash.
369 forced away, uses the ultimate as well, but will escape. The risk for BLG is whenever you step up, flash tippers. Flash tippers can happen over and over. It looks like Knight actually flashed. Maybe that was slightly off screen. I didn't quite catch it.
I think BLG doing such a good job of containing JDG here by pushing out side waves and then going to collapse on them. Bin is now the one getting advantages out of 369. No ult, no flash. Then they can just collapse on mid and get the objective for themselves without any bloodshed.
The risk always is the Nature's Grasp from the Maokai from one side, the Rakan from the other side, and you're just locked in a pincer maneuver from BLG. And we'll get the mid lane tier 1. They are now 1,000 gold in the lead as we crest the 21-minute mark.
All right, every time we see this, where one team with a big range advantage is facing another team that has to get those engages off. You're always looking at the flank wards, always looking at that 1 second that could be the difference of JDG closing the gap, getting to the Jinx, getting to the Jace there for Knight. But BLG so far, those carries have kept them at range. They've stayed safe. They've pushed JDG in.
BLG have done the correct thing here. They've pushed out their sideways. I was expecting Gao to go back to base, but right now he's hovering around top. We're going to get a look back at what happened to 369. He will run into Bin, as you highlighted during the action. He flashes away.
On blocks
uses
him.
the ultimate, and then, yeah, there's the block from On, but he was just like, well, hello, hello, and then they just pass on each other, continue with their day.
Yeah, I was like, you're not even getting within a screen of Elk. Stop here, do not pass go.
And that's exactly what you have to do. It's what worked so well for JDG in game 1, was their ability just to act as a bodyguard. On's going to try and stop the recall here, but the shield from missing means that Kanavi will be able to get back to base.
And look at this priority on range. Even more than just sitting on the Zeal, he actually fully upgraded this time to the rapid fire, even before Infinity Edge. So Elk investing so heavily in the range.
And when Elk is in this position, we have seen him pop off. That's the reason, really, that they were able to take down Genji, that they were able to take down T1, was the power of Elk in later game team fights and the power of his team playing around him, obviously, in those later game fights. In game 1, it never materialized. Perhaps in game 2, it will for BLG.
And he has no cleanse. There's no Mikhails yet for him, so he knows he really has to play far back. Can't let Knight get on top.
Position is very good right now for BLG in terms of their dragon control. JDG trying to hold on to this mid wave, though. They're not going to start on the objective. BLG just continue to chip away at the HP bars of JDG.
Good poke.
Australia's used. Look at Bin in the bot lane as well, forcing 369 underneath this tower. The poke continues from
Getting the
Yagao.
minion wave.
Will JDG just look for the engage?
BLG are doing such a good job. They're not giving them room to commit. They're poking them down, denying the mid minion wave, and allowing the split push plus Dragon to go on all at the same time here. Really, really big stuff.
Yeah, very patient play overall for BLG. uncontested Dragon. They now find themselves at Soul Point. And aside from the first one, it's just been, as you highlighted, just a great utilization of their side lanes. We always saw Bin heavily committing to the trades, and this was an example of where Bin doesn't lose his life, but it's the same principle, right? Just constant pressure. 369, that front line for JDG can't really get involved in the fight, and the rest of the BLG members concerned about this potential collapse just use their range to keep JDG arm's length. The rapid fire cannon, the Jace poke, all these things from BLG just making it awkward for JDG to approach the objective.
Yeah, BLG this time around, really good job utilizing the tools that they have drafted for themselves. The idea there, JDG's only option is to try and hard shove mid. You see them jumping towards that minion wave while trying to avoid poke, but BLG, they never overcommitted. They still caught the red minion wave, and they got their objective. That is 3 dragons here, so 4 minutes on the clock, gentlemen.
Infernal Soul up for BLG in 4 minutes time, as you say, Kobe, but I do want to draw attention to the fact that it's still only 1.5k between these teams. We still have Ruler at 2.5 items. We still have Knight at 2 items. And although BLG have played very well against that threat, it ever looms in the distance that a Wukong Annie engage will just shred through BLG.
True. Great point then.
Thanks. I was on the AD early in the tournament.
Ooh, now we have a mismatch here. JDG going for the team fight while Bin is split pushing. There's only one more minion wave for Bin to deal with on bottom side. And with JD
it out though.
Yeah.
He'll stop the Night fight from happening.
It's actually something that BLG did really well in their T1 series as well. There were a couple of times where Owner on Wukong would try and have a really long flank around the blue buff, around Baron fights. As we see Bin getting caught out towards this top lane.
He's just drawing pressure, right?
He's caught out because he wants to be caught out. They're not locked in there with him. He's locked in there with them as he gets the knockup and gets away from Kanavi. The Neodor work, no blast cone, but the healing from the Riftmaker not enough. BLG will start up the Baron, and now JDG have to call for a fight. Knight, no TP yet, about to come off cooldown. Unstoppable Onslaught goes wide from 369. The Baron down to 1,000 HP, insecure by BLG. On trying to act as a bodyguard. 369 trying to get onto the backline. Knight coming in from the side as well. That flank could be deadly, but BLG disengage. And JDG continue to step forward, continue to look for more. Ruler pulls the feathers back, but he just can't find his mark. Twisted advance in from Shun. Ruler wild growth, and Shun will fall. Knight flashing forward, trying to kill off. Yagao going in fact, as the stopwatch comes out underneath the tower. Yagao trying to do everything he can. But in the end, JDG are just too damn strong.
They will take from them everything except for on here. Only one Baron buff lives. It's the same strat we've seen all game long. BLG, they try and sacrifice Bin, split pushing. They say, take your chances in your 2v1. Go for it. And he got the solo turret. They did get the Baron, but the chase down kills there for JDG. We'll see if that makes the difference. On the next fight, on that Dragon Soul, critically, Knight did not flash here. He saved his flash for this. Kanavi saved his flash for the Soul fight as well. We'll see if they can actually make it happen. Ruler, though, used everything. We'll be a little bit more vulnerable on the Xayah. Everything's going to come down to the next explosive team fight.
I'm pretty sure Kanavi is still deathless at MSI, by the way, on this Wukong. And I think the problem for Bin is that he just takes too much damage too quickly. The amount of time that he actually buys isn't great because they're even moving in the direction of the Baron. You look at the rate at which it's dying too. This isn't a super fast Baron. The Scion goes in, and while they don't secure it, BLG think that they can move back to the safety of their tier 1 turrets, but in the face of 369, that is not a turret, okay? That is just a light tickle on a Sunday, or a breeze, I don't know, whatever it is, it doesn't matter to him, right? And so he's the one that initially tanks that engage. It's Jun that kind of gets zoned off and killed by Ruler, and then the dive comes through. Good CC comes out from Knight, he buys a lot of time. Elk can't get the peel that he needs. And while Ruler does die to the tower, Bin is now in danger.
Ruler, no flash, does have the Featherstorm, will use it early. Those needleworks doing a lot of work from Bin, and that's the AD carries ultimate out, and BLG call for the engage. Stepping forward, Knight locked up. He does still have the flash to get away. He can get to the blast cone as well. The twisted advance will lock him down, and Knight, once again, the Zonya's buying him a second, but is it enough? It's not. Shut down by Yagao. And now BLG with a member advantage can push in 2 lanes.
Knight is holding on to that flash with dear life. He knows how important it is, and he will even give his life for it. But this should be the soul for BLG.
BLG, are they going to follow Bowser's Law to victory here? This is the scariest 0-3 Gwen I have seen in a long time. 3 items up there. You can't 2v1 him even anymore. And BLG, the rest of the team, takes advantage. The teleport comes in, though. Knight is on 15 seconds.
369 going in, On's gonna dash forward, dash out, Cyclone knocked up, knocked back, and Kanabi doesn't find the engage that he was looking for, and now Yagao can really open up. Kanabi going back in with the Cyclone, but Bin just keeping the rest of JDG distracted because the Infernal Soul has been secured, and look at what it does! BLG wipe away JDG!
They're gonna come for more than that. 369 is slowed.
Flash stun, knock-up coming out, Elk will fall, but now the chase is really on for BLG as Knight tries to escape. 369 goes down into the zombie mode, and Knight has nowhere to go. BLG may have lost their Elk, but they find the win in the fight.
Bin shouting, you gotta send 2 for me, you gotta send 3 for me. Doesn't matter, my team, my objectives, they will win.
BLG playing with confidence in game 2. They have bounced back with a vengeance. They will take their first inhibitor of the game. And with the Soul, with this split pushing approach, JDG have found no answers.
And Yagao on this Jace, cleaning up so much damage. Here's another look at it. So they're rushing in, they know they don't have the Annie, and so BLG just turn on them. Big chunk there onto Kanavi, Bin moves in, pops his W, hits his ultimates here, all of his ultimates on Ruler. Ruler just got needlework to death.
That he used his ultimate in the top lane when they were trying to catch out Bin.
That's just ultimate 3 times from Bin, lights out for the AD carry.
The flash finally comes through from Knight. It results in the execution of Elk, but it does not matter. BLG, they know they've won the fight. They take down 369. They get revenge for their AD carry, and the elation from the BLG coaching staff. Why wouldn't they be excited? You talked about it in game 1, Kobe. Every time these two teams have met, JDG have just gotten more efficient at taking down BLG. 3-2, 3-1, 3-0 was their most recent performance at MSI. But BLG have evolved as a team, and Bin believes in the 3-2. Here in game 2, BLG are looking to equalize the score.
Jun's looking for a final engage. The TP coming in as well. Look at the damage onto Ruler already. He tries to get away, but the charm will lock him up. The twist in advance chases him. There is no escape from BLG. They'll find another as Kanavi tries to get onto the back line, but he just does not have the damage. BLG find 5. 4, in fact, as Missing survives, but he'll go down as well. A 5-for-1 exchange for BLG.
BLG strike back, and they're gonna go straight to the Nexus with that one.
3-2, 3-1, 3-0 for JDG, but in Bin's eyes, it's a 3-2 victory, and they've taken the first step towards glory.
JDG gave BLG the Jinx and the Gwen. They made them pay. Really, really big stuff here. Bouncing back. BLG, they have defied expectations all tournament long.
Had to get one, didn't you?
Get a bonus.
But that they have. BLG with a composition that I wasn't entirely sold on after seeing it, but their execution was truly flawless. Multiple times you were highlighting it, Kobe, how Bin, it looked like that he was into, right? But that wasn't the play. He was drawing pressure. He was deliberately proxying waves. He was going for all-ins, and he was saying, listen, either you let me kill 369 or you come and stop me. Because one of these two things is happening, and the second that they tried to stop him, that was when the dragon was secured. And every single time, BLG, they wouldn't go for the fights that they knew that they couldn't win outside of that one Baron one, where it really kind of looked like it was falling apart a little bit, but then the scaling was far too strong from the side lanes.